Hey everyone, welcome to the moon forecast for the new moon we have coming up in Pisces. I'm Kendall with the Bohemian Tarot Girl and Wild Reawakening. Amy, give a shout out to yourself.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm an intuitive energy coach and moon circle leader at Wild Reawakening. And we have this Pisces new moon coming in.
Yeah. I'm I'm kind of excited about this. I know we're wrapping up some energy, like astrologically, this is that tail end of that year and season. And so we'll be moving into this new one. Um, but this new moon is kind of like this precursor to a lot of, forward moving, kind of really making some changes in your life, which I really like.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting forward momentum coming in the next couple of months, as well as eclipse season, which is going to be happening at the end of the month on March 25th when we have that full moon in Libra. So it's creating some really rapid change and some really exciting things that could drastically improve your life if you have your focus in the right direction.
Yes. That was really what was coming up when I looked at all of the charts was really it's all about acting on your intuition, really paying attention to that, and also really focusing in on what you're dreaming about, what you're thinking about, making sure that you're not dwelling in past experiences and really making sure that you're forward thinking.
Yeah. So, did we talk about when this moon is happening?
No, we didn't. We kind of just jumped right in with the energy. So
Crazy thing to kind of skip over.
it is happening on March 10th at 5 a.m. Eastern, or if you're Pacific Standard Time, at 2 a.m. And it's at 20 degrees of Pisces. So just make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on during that time as we transition over. It peaks when we feel the energy for about 2 days before and 2 days after. So just pay attention to that.
Yeah, and new moons are when the sun and the moon are in the same position in the sky, which is why we can't see the moon. And we typically use this energy as a time to set intentions, to look forward, to build momentum for what we want to bring in. But as with most moons that have happened this year, there's this element of building and letting go at the same time. And with Pisces being in the position that it is, it's 12th house energy, it's the last little tail end of the zodiac cycle, like you were mentioning, and it being at 20 degrees, it's really at the last tail
Yeah.
end of things. And so there's this element of closing out whatever needs to be closed out before we launch ourselves into Aries season, which Aries is always kind of new energy. It's like a rebirth into the next full cycle. So it's really significant energy for this moon to really pay attention to any intuitive notions that you're getting, anything that you feel um, is helping you up level on a spiritual level. Pisces energy is so, I don't know. I love Pisces energy. I really do. I Some of my best friends are Pisces. They kind of exist on their own plane, and so this energy of this moon really, and this season is really kind of helping us to step out of this kind of earthly realm a little bit and look at things from a higher spiritual perspective. And so, any message that you're receiving or ideas that you're getting, there's a high potential that they could be really soul led and um, spiritually guided into creating something for yourself that is really aligned with uh, on a soul level. So,
Yep. I would agree that, this time really opens up our intuition and really connects us with our higher self in that channel. And so I do feel like when we're looking at, these transits around this time of this new moon, we're really seeing that push for us to access our intuition and to really pay attention to what's coming in, or if there is some sort of event that leads you somewhere, pay attention to that piece. And with that, one of the bigger transits that I kind of honed in on was the Neptune conjunct the sun, moon, and Mercury. And, when we're looking at breaking down those different pieces, we have that sun really focusing on ourself and our ego, and really making sure that we're aligning with who we want to be going forward, and really receiving that connection with that Neptune Mercury energy, right? That's getting us connected so we can receive.
And
And then,
that happens
oh,
on about around March 17th, right around St. Patrick's Day.
yep.
Um, and it'll be at 27 degrees of Pisces. So that really is at the tail end of things that this happens. It's like right just a couple days before we shift into Aries season. And when I was looking at this, it's almost like there's such a higher perspective with this energy. And it's almost like being able to remove your ego out of what is happening and seeing things from a higher level. So it's going to be really interesting, kind of the messages that you receive or things that transpire. There's really a sense of needing to let go of expectations and um, what you think is the right path for yourself, because I think that there's going to be some big surprises coming in.
Yep. Sorry if you can hear my dog. She is snoring really loud.
I don't even.
If you hear some random snorts, it's my dog. She's just a little beast, but she can snore.
Really, really dreamy right now.
Yeah. So, really paying attention to that intuition with this piece, I think is going to be key to get us through. I do feel like we're going to see some, this potential for rebellion, and we have that Mars squaring Uranus, and that's going to kind of, in a way, it opens us up for this, freedom to be brought into our lives, right? But with it, it's this kind of maybe a little chaotic change that might happen. And so, really being able to connect and know that, if something comes along, like an event, a situation that you're being put into and asked to kind of step through, it's going to wind up working for you in the long run. There's a meaning behind why you're going through this at the moment. And so just being able to see past that and not kind of dwelling in that energy that can kind of be a little uncomfortable and chaotic is really important.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Mars energy is really associated with kind of like that warrior element. It can be volatile and it can rush forward and it wants action. Um, it's not so concerned with feelings.
No.
um, and that is sitting in Aquarius, which is all about kind of revolutionary energy anyway. And it's squaring that Uranus and Taurus, which Uranus uh, kind of rules Aquarius. So there can be some upheaval and some potential for really uncomfortable energy coming in during that time. But and it may be shocking and it could be unexpected and it could be a big shakeup, which I know makes a lot of people nervous because we like to be able to anticipate kind of what's happening in our world, and we don't necessarily do well with surprises a lot of the time, especially when they seem to come out of nowhere. Um, but it's really also giving us the opportunity to look at potential futures and
Mhm.
what is possible for ourselves that we may not have considered, and what direction we could take that maybe we hadn't thought of. And it's also kind of lending this sense of um, the ability to step in and be brave. Um, I wrote that somewhere. Oh, in a different aspect. But all of these energies are coming together at the same time. So we'll just kind of roll this all into one, is that we have Mercury entering Aries at 0 degrees at the time of this new moon. And Mercury, of course, is about communication and messengers, and Aries is about something new. And so with this energy that's coming in, it could really create the opportunity for us to move in a new direction that we might be apprehensive about, but that also gives us the opportunity to really show ourselves what we're made of, to move forward despite whatever fear we might have around whatever this shakeup could possibly be. And so I wrote in my notes that, um, being scared is an opportunity to be brave or to show ourselves how brave we can be. And I think that if you allow yourself to do that, when you get to the other side of it, you're going to find out that, um, oh my gosh. So,
You're all
like
good.
typical, like the mind is moving way faster. I have Mercury in my natal chart. This is how I am all the time. Just do it. It'll be okay. Um, so it's really going to give us kind of more of a sense of self-confidence once we push past this part that's really going to help propel us into whatever new it is that we're creating. There will be a sense of determination and more confidence in our abilities as to what we can do. So,
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, this energy can be it can have that shake up piece of it, but it really can be used for good. And I feel like, with this one, we're kind of at this unusual place because we're at this new moon and we're really being asked to, set some intentions and pay attention to what we're trying to manifest into this world and how we're connecting with these future timelines that we want to put ourselves on. But there's also, like you mentioned, like this focus on this is the last bit. This is the last bit where you can release and kind of reevaluate where you want to go. And as we move into this eclipse season, I do feel like we're going to see even more shakeup come. So this is like a precursor, a chance for you to kind of dip your toes in the water of where you want to go and what you want to focus on. And then we're going to shift even more as we come in. And so just being open and willing to see it as it arrives for you is really what I think people need to focus on. Don't spend so much time, making your, lists and jotting it down kind of thing and expecting it to roll out exactly as that. This is not the time. This is a time just to go where spirit, the universe leads you and ask for the doors that you need to be brought to you to open for you as you go along and not dwell in things that are not going to happen for you, just move forward. And I think you're going to have, there's all this other good energy, right? We have, the sextile to Jupiter, which is really like this enhancement. Like this is where all your crazy wildest dreams could come true if you're really open to the random doors I think the universe is going to throw at you at this moment. And that's how I kind of feel like what's going to happen in the next month. I think there's going to be random doors. Just go for it.
yeah, they're very much with this energy is a huge, like, it's like a huge trust fall activity. The universe is pointing you in a certain direction. It's making things align that you might not have thought were going to align. And all you have to do is trust that it's going to put you in the right place and kind of step out of the way, and really just dive into it. And I, and that can be, it sounds
Scary.
awesome, but it's also, I mean, there can be a lot of fear to work through around that. And we also at the same time have Chiron in Aries, conjunct the North Node, which is also in Aries, heading into this eclipse season. Uh, which of course, if you're new to this type of stuff, the eclipses are activated by the nodes. So all of our eclipses are going to be on the same axis of the North and South Node. Um, and so that's like really creating the opportunity to clear away some really self-sabotaging, self-limiting, self-doubt uh, kind of ideas that may be creeping in that are keeping you from really moving forward on the path that is more meant
Yep.
for you, and really expanding what's available and your growth and the direction that you're moving in. So there's a lot of like great potential in the energy that is happening. It's really going to come down to where you put your focus and how much trust you're going to put in your own intuition, in your direction, in where the universe is leading you. It's really a higher perspective, very spiritual energy that is kind of carrying us through with this at
Yeah.
this time.
It really is that higher energy perspective. It's really that connection with higher self. I think that is going to push you through and guide you where you need to go. There are other times when that is not the case, but this is your moment to really connect and make sure that you're receiving and walking through those doors that are being opened for you. So,
Because really, with this energy, when I think about it, the only thing that's going to keep you from getting where you want to go right now is yourself and
yeah,
your own self limitations and
100%.
stories you tell yourself about what you're capable of or not capable of. So you can be your own worst enemy right now, or you can really um, use this to just create something so incredibly amazing for yourself.
Hmm. I like that. Anything else you want to add about this moon? I do want to highlight a couple of things afterwards, but
Yeah. So we also have Venus in Aquarius,
mhm,
sextiling Uranus and Taurus as well. And a sextile means, so if you're not familiar with that, a sextile is when, because we have 12 pieces that go in a circle in the zodiac. And so it means that there's like a sign in between. So it's like 1/6 every, kind of goes around. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm looking at it in math.
I think that's good.
So if math is not your language, that might not make sense. But on a pie, it's like you have a piece and then you leave a piece and then you take the next piece, and that is a sextile. So, um, but that is really creating, it's really interesting because Venus is ruled by Taurus. Um, and right now, Venus is in Aquarius. And then we have Uranus, which is in Taurus, which rules Aquarius. So they kind of are like mirroring each other with these energies, and it's kind of an interesting um, like conjunction of things. But that's really adding to this element of creating inspired movement towards what it is that you really want for yourself, what feels good for you. So it's just another aspect being thrown into this mix of all of these energies kind of co-creating something really cool.
No, I love that. I do think there's great energy. Just pay attention to what's coming in.
Mhm. And if you're someone who like is used to existing in really spiritual and intuitive spaces, this is going to feel kind of comfortable and normal. If
Yeah.
you're someone who thinks more concretely and likes to have order and have things happen a certain way, this may feel a little more unpredictable and jarring for you. So it really just depends on where you fall in that spectrum and your own belief system about how things work for you. And I know Kendall and I have been in these spaces for a very long time where we're just kind of used to letting things flow. So
I'm
I've
hoping
learned a
to
lot.
ease my way in there.
I learned a long time ago to get out of the way when
Yeah.
the universe wants to move in a certain direction. And one of my favorite quotes, I'm all full of quotes today, but one of my favorite ones is when I let go, I float. And it's just how things work. Um, so when you're more resistant to things, then that's when you struggle. And that's when you feel more tension and more panic. So
I like that. Um, I did just want to highlight, we already talked about it briefly, but we're kind of coming up into some unique time frames right now. So we're going to have the next moon will be the full moon, which is the lunar eclipse, and that's going to be on March 25th. And so you're going to see some interesting things I think play out and really seeing some timeline shift as we move through this time. And alongside that, we have it kind of paired up with that Mercury retrograde that's going to come on April 1st and run through, I believe, the 24th. And that is the pre-shadow event. So we always feel that a little bit early. So if you're like me, I always like to make sure I have my oil changed in my car, all the other like if there's something involved with transportation, I'm like on it before Mercury retrograde. Um, and then we have the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 8th. And so just be aware of this timeline that we're going through, and the change and be really paying attention to how you're moving through it, I think. Um, and I think you're gonna be all right if you don't dwell so much and it has to be a certain way. I think if you leave it up to the universe, you're gonna be guided in the right direction. How are you feeling about this whole lineup? I feel like this is a lineup event.
There's a lineup, and
Yeah.
after like watching patterns of how things play out over several years, it's like you can see how everything, there are no accidents in how this
Hmm.
happens. It's very much orchestrated on a universal level. And so becoming aware of it can really help you navigate it a little better. But eclipses are portal energies, and that means that something is going to be very fast tracked in your life. These eclipses are happening on the Aries and Libra axis. Aries is the north node right now. And Aries is all about the self and who you are and how you present yourself to the world, and the way that you move through the world and what is good for you and your growth. And Libra is all about partnerships and relationships and how you navigate the world in regards to others. And so having this full moon lunar eclipse in Libra at the end of this
Yeah.
month could really highlight um, an aspect of your relationships, whether that's business or personal or family. Um, I have a feeling it's going to be more like your personal relationships, just because. But I found with the Libra and Aries axis, because I exist on that for myself. So just from my own perspective on how it's affected me, because I'm a Libra rising and have a Libra North node, is that it is very much how to exist in relationships without losing yourself, and how to navigate relationships where it's mutually beneficial, instead of just being all about what you. So there is a medium ground that I think if that can be found during this time, you're going to see much greater expansion in those areas. But it's always interesting to see at the end of the eclipse cycle kind of how things play out for you. Look at the houses that not only this moon is sitting in, at 20 degrees Pisces, because that's going to highlight some key points to you in your own chart.
Mhm.
But also, if you want to get ahead, look at the the houses at 5 degrees of Libra, where this next full moon is going to be, and see where that lands in your chart.
Yeah.
Because that is really going to highlight something important.
Hmm.
It's going to be a theme for the next like 6 months.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so exciting.
yeah.
Here's the door opening.
I think my rising is right at 5 degrees Libra. So,
Oh, interesting. Amy, I can't wait to see the change
yeah,
for
we
you.
got some big things in the works. So hopefully this is
Yes.
actually that really shifts.
I love it. I love it. And you're already working, I think, on the pieces that are like shifting for you. So hopefully, as you come and you're approaching this cycle, you have already been building and creating some tools for yourself. And there's, if you've been really paying attention to what's going on and really connecting with your higher self, then you're probably already on the track and it's going to be less of a shift for you, right? It's just going to be a continuation. It's
Well,
going to be a little bit.
the first eclipse we had on this axis was April 21st, was it last year?
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, it was
It was
something
right
right around
around
there.
then. I don't know the exact date. I'm going to say it was the 21st, but because we were on our retreat at the
Hmm.
time. But that was the very first one on this axis. So if you look a year ago and kind of see what themes came up for you around the end of April last year, then this is just going to be a continuation of whatever you started.
Yeah.
Um, so the eclipse seasons are, I mean, like the nodes are in those certain signs for about a year and a half. So we have until kind of the end of the year to really close some things out of what we've been working on.
Yeah. I can't believe it's been a year already since we did our retreat and Joshua Tree. Oh man, scary.
Feels like it was yesterday.
Exactly. And here we go for another grouping of these eclipse energies. So, well, everyone, I hope you have a great new moon. Really pay attention to what is coming through to you, what's speaking to you during this time. It should be a good one. So, we will see you all next time for the full moon. Thanks again.